Do you have a space in your home that just becomes a dumping ground, and no matter how many times you clear it off, it still ends up cluttered again? Well, this is that space for me. So today I'm going to tidy all of this off and try and fix this problem and, figure out what I'm going to do with this space. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura and this is phase 2 of my office redecoration. If you missed the first one, I will link it for you, and if you want to catch the next one, make sure you're subscribed. I will say that some of this stuff is stuff that I have already decided that I'm decluttering. All of this stationery here, for example, notebooks and stuff, I am going to be doing a giveaway of that stuff, sort of a de-stash. There are notebooks, bits and bobs that I either bought or was gifted. So if you are a member of this channel, make sure that you check the community tab, because over the next week or so I am going to be listing all of those and they will be up for grabs. If you're not already a member, make sure that you join. There'll be a link below. One of the first steps to any decluttering or cleaning job is to make it as easy as you can up front. Do some kind of pre-planning or pre-decluttering. So there is some stuff around me on the floor. I'm going to get rid of that first. So I also brought down a donation box and then 2 bins, one regular, one recycling. That's so I can quickly and easily get rid of stuff. So yeah, start with whatever will make the job easier for you. By getting rid of this stuff off the floor, it gives me room to maneuver so that I'm not tripping over stuff. Sometimes decluttering actually means pre-decluttering, or it involves pre-decluttering, which is clearing a space for yourself first. Not only will the job go quicker, but it will also be a lot less frustrating. Now, you've probably heard me talk before about having a vision, starting with a vision for the space, but that does not mean knowing exactly how it will look and function. For this space, I'm really not sure yet. I just know that I want it cleared off and I want it a little bit tidier, but I don't know exactly what that will look like. I don't know exactly how the space is going to function for me. So sometimes it's just, how you want the space to feel or what your overall objective is, even if you don't know exactly how that's going to be achieved. You can have an overall idea without needing to know the specifics. Because look, the reality is that I'm not using this space currently, and I don't know if I will use it more once I clear it off, but I know I'm definitely not using it the way it is, or at least not for anything productive. And it's precisely because it doesn't have that purpose or that function that it becomes a dumping ground. I don't know what to do with it, and therefore it becomes a magnet for all of the other things that I don't know what to do with. So it's definitely time to figure out what its purpose is going to be, even if that purpose turns out to be like way station or storage for things like that. If that's the case, then so be it, but I need to be clear that that is its actual purpose, and I need to put some better systems in place. But if I don't make that conscious decision of what to do with this desk, then it's always going to bug me. Sometimes you do have to allow yourself to have a dumping ground. Not everything in your home is going to fit into a neat little category. Not everything will have an obvious place that it goes. In that case, I think it's perfectly fine to have a miscellaneous area, a space that you put things that don't really go with other things. Like the land of the single socks, all those things that don't really have, a pair or a mate or a group that they belong to. A misfits spot. Because like I said, most of this is stuff that I actually already decided I was going to declutter, or stuff that I just stash here because I'm not bothered putting it away. Some of it is Christmas stuff that didn't get put away with the Christmas decorations, either because I needed to wash it or just came across it after the decorations were already away, and instead of just moving the 10 feet away into where we keep the Christmas decorations, I just dropped it there. There's a lot of that type of stuff that I just wasn't bothered putting away, or because I just don't know where to put it. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is miscellaneous. It's a lot of that misfit stuff. Usually it's stuff that's kind of moved around the house a little bit before I end up just putting it here for lack of anywhere better to put it. So I removed it all off the desk, and I tried to, as I was removing stuff, kind of put like with like, make piles of similar things. Like, for example, stuff that I'm going to be getting rid of, stuff that I know is definitely going, stuff that is going to be part of a giveaway, stuff that I definitely am keeping and either needs to be rehomed somewhere else or will probably end up back on the desk, Christmas or other holiday stuff that just needs to be put back in the boxes where they go, and then some sentimental stuff, again, that go back in the boxes where they belong. But if all of that stuff has been sitting on my desk for a while untouched, it's because I obviously do not need it and probably don't love it. And you can tell that it's been sitting there for a while untouched because of all of the dust on that desk. Ugh. So that needed a really good wipe down. That way, whatever I decide to do with the space, it's ready. Oh, I am so sick of decluttering things and then not actually doing with them anything with them, just dropping them there and leaving them, not actually getting them out of the house or not putting things away when I'm done. I also want to be a lot more intentional about how and where I store things, because a lot of this is maybe stuff. It's all that miscellaneous misfit stuff that I talked about. Things that don't have a specific home, and that is why they end up here. And yes, absolutely fine to have a miscellaneous spot, like I said, but I do feel that a lot of this stuff does actually have a home or could potentially have a home somewhere else. It doesn't need to be here. Let me give you an example. If you caught phase one of this where I was tidying off the rest of my office, I ended up with a maybe pile, a very small maybe pile, but I left it there for a few days because instead of wanting to just drop it somewhere or put it somewhere out of the way and get rid of it where I would inevitably forget about it, a la all this stuff, I left it on the floor beside my desk and gave myself a few days to kind of mull it over. And in those few days, I did actually decide what I wanted to do with that stuff. So in that case, it wasn't a situation where I just kind of dropped it off somewhere, like out of sight, out of mind, sort of. I kept it there for a few days, knowing that if I gave it enough time, my brain would eventually figure out what to do with it. So I definitely do need to have a better solution than just like drop it here or put it here for now and then never look at it again. It can't be a situation where I just put things on the first available surface. I'm done with that, honestly. I'm so done with that. I'm annoyed at myself. I really am annoyed at myself. Like, I've been decluttering for so long and sometimes I feel like I haven't made any progress. Now I look back at old photographs, which is why I always recommend taking before photographs, and I realize I have actually made a massive amount of progress. But then I come to like spaces like this, I'm like, how am I still here? And it's because I declutter stuff, but then leave it sitting around, or I put it out of the way and then don't come back to it. So that we're done with that now. This is not, from now on, stuff is actually getting out of the house. It's not just being dropped somewhere like indefinitely, somewhere out of the way where I'll never think about it again. I'm actually making decisions and following through. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through all of this stuff, decide what I'm going to do with it, or maybe set it aside because it needs a little bit more thought. But I'm hoping that the majority of this stuff is going to be out of my home either today or in the next few days, because I'm done. I am done. My goal here was just to remove as much as possible as quickly as possible. I don't want things hanging around anymore. I just want them gone. I want to have a better idea of where and how to store stuff. No more putting things off, just getting it done. But if you are going through something like this and something is slowing you down, or you're unsure what to do with something, put it into a maybe pile. I do not believe in this advice about only touching things once, and I talked about this in my previous video, but I think sometimes it's better to take a kind of wait and see approach. Maybe as you go on, things will become clearer, or you might free up some extra space elsewhere, or you may even have less space than you thought. But I think as you go, things can become much more obvious. Like I said, that is what I did with a small amount of stuff when I tackled the other side of my office, and it really paid off for me, because after about 2 or 3 days, it was very obvious to me what I should do with that stuff. Now, the big mistake that I made here, and it was a rookie one, that was trying to action the stuff while I was in the middle of going through it. So this is stuff for the giveaway, and I foolishly decided that it would be a good idea at this point to separate all the stuff out into like giveaway bundles. No, I realized my mistake. I was very annoyed at myself, and I went to get a box to just kind of like shove all of that stuff into, because that is a job for another day. So don't allow yourself to become sidetracked while decluttering. Learn from my mistakes. I'm still making them to this day, but unless something is incredibly urgent, like it needs to be done now, and honestly very little is, but deal with that stuff later. Right now your only job is to decide what's staying and what's going, and then to get rid of the stuff that's going as quickly as possible, like I'm doing here with my shredding, and put the rest away. Something that I realized while I was going through this stuff, so my kind of plan, my overall plan was to go through every single space in my home, declutter it, and have like a maybe pile, and then after a while it would become clear to me what types of things were left over. So there may be, I might have been able to spot a pattern or something, so that I could put better systems in place, because I feel like in each space I have like maybe a handful of things that don't seem to quite go, and then I just put them away somewhere. So yeah, my plan was to go through everything in the house and then to kind of have one big maybe pile and see if that stuff kind of like worked together, I guess. But what I've realized during this process, even though I've been talking about miscellaneous stuff and maybe piles and like misfits, there isn't actually, I don't actually have that much that falls into that category. As I was going through, I realized that a lot of this stuff actually does fit into some form of category. Like this guy, like to me, this guy was miscellaneous, but right now he's actually kind of like decor. And there are various little bits and bobs like that I had kind of labeled as miscellaneous, but now I'm realizing not actually miscellaneous. Miscellaneous maybe in the sense that in that particular space there was only one or two of them, but like I said, in the grand scheme of things, like in my home, there's very little that is, you know, unique or doesn't have a group that it belongs to, even if that group is small. So yeah, eye-opener there. Something I do need to get better at though is maintenance. Like keeping on top of things, not just going through a space and then thinking that's it and never coming back to it, which is what I have a tendency to do because I've done it once and therefore it's finished. But no, and also not kind of like messing up one space while I'm decluttering another. So not like decluttering a space, moving all the stuff to another space like this desk, and then just leaving that there and thinking, oh, my bookcase looks lovely now. Whereas really all the stuff I took off is just sitting in another corner somewhere. You know, or like when I cleared off my desk, when I've been clearing it off the last few weeks, I've actually just been putting stuff on the floor. And in the last video, well, one of the last videos, you saw me actually dealing with all of that stuff. So like I said, no more of that. I'm actually following through it now, but let me show you the piles that I have left. And then I am actually, like I said, going to follow through and put this stuff away or dump it or get rid of it. I've already shredded all the paper, so that was great. But yes, now comes now comes the kind of finishing touch. Now's the part that I always dread and usually don't do, but no, made a promise to myself. We're actually doing the final step, which is putting the stuff away or getting it out. So this is all the stuff that is going to be leaving my home. This is stuff for donations, plus the Christmas tree stand just wouldn't fit in the box. This is stuff to be recycled, and then at the back here, this is stuff that is going to be dumped. I do have some other stuff over here, but that kind of has to be dumped or recycled in a specialist way. So electronic stuff and then medication, I can't just throw that stuff in the bin. But I'm very glad that all of this stuff is going to be leaving. Had a little bit of a shredder explosion here. Anyway, coming over here then, this is just a pile of notebooks or planners that I want to go through because I know I've used some pages in them and I just want to make sure there's no like personal information or anything so that I can rip out those pages. So yeah, I know one of them, this black one here, that was my morning pages journal, so I know that one is full. and I'm not sure I even want to bother rereading it. I might just burn it. Full of random ramblings that I'm really not sure I want to relive. And this is a pile of books that for some reason I thought, I have no place to put these, even though I have a bookcase. So those are going upstairs to the bookcase up there. This stuff then is random stuff that I'm keeping, just needs to like find a home, essentially. I'm not 100% sure where most of this is going just yet. These papers will need to be filed on my filing cabinet, and these papers belong to my husband, so I'm going to pop those on his desk. And then over here then is the box of stuff to be not to be donated to that form part of the giveaway. This is the stuff that I started going through and trying to separate out into bundles, and quickly realized my very foolish mistake. And then we're just going to ignore all of this stuff in this particular corner. This is wrapping supplies. Basically, this container that I had for them split. It broke and just everything exploded everywhere, and it's been sitting there now since Christmas. It's sitting there for 4 months, so not good. That needs to be dealt with. I just need to order some other type of container to corral all of this stuff. And then a lot of this is like my daughter's stuff, like paint. She likes to paint on the ground. A lot of stuff up here as well. Her little hidey hole, just a light that I'm using. But yeah, that all needs to be cleaned up too. I'm not sure I'll bother putting that in a video. I'll just tidy it up someday, but that's kind of the next phase. This is the last stuff that needs to be cleared out as part of the big office tidy and redecoration. So not only am I actually going to put stuff away now and get rid of it, but I'm also going to schedule time to like go through this giveaway stuff and read those notebooks, so I can like rip out any pages that contain personal information. So yeah, doing the thing. Following through. Now, when it comes to putting things away, putting them back where they belong, I always start with trash and recycling, because that is the stuff that is leaving immediately. That's kind of the quickest win that you can get. That's where you're going to see the biggest results. And that will also help you get a better sense of what is actually left that's staying. You know, sometimes you declutter things and you make various piles all over the place, and it seems like there's still a lot of stuff, and you might be kind of subconsciously trying to work out where you're going to put it all. But when you actually separate the trash first, or the recycling first, anything that is actually leaving your home, same with donations, it can give you a much better sense of what is actually staying. In turn then, that will hopefully better allow you to decide what to do with it and where to put it. For me, once I had shredded those papers and I had brought out the bins, taken up the stuff to be donated and put it in the coat closet, ready to be brought to the charity shop next time I'm going, there really wasn't all that much left. So I just very quickly put it back where it belonged. I put my husband's papers on his desk. I put the decor pieces in a little kind of cubby that I have where I keep little bits and bobs like that. Important papers went into my filing cabinet, and then I gave the space a good vacuum now that I could actually see the floor. Top tip for you though, Dysons do not like shredded paper. This one clogged for me a few times. For the stuff for the giveaway and the notebooks that I just want to go through and rip out any pages, those I have put by my desk, and I have scheduled in time to actually go through the stuff. So even though it's there for now, I know that it's just a matter of time before that also leaves my home. All in all, I got rid of a lot of stuff, and I'm about to be getting rid of even more. Even though this was a small space, this was a painful process. I did not enjoy this at all. I struggled through it. I really did. I'm so glad that it is done. I don't even feel like yay or anything about it. I'm just like, no, I wash my hands of you. I'm out of here. So I've been thinking about what I could possibly do with this space now, and I think I've come down to one of two things. One could potentially, or I could use them for both really, but one is, so I showed you earlier, there's a lot of painting stuff on the ground. So I'm thinking of turning this into a little painting desk, because right now we have a lot of painting stuff and nowhere to put it. So that's one potential purpose for this desk. The other, also to do with stuff that is on the floor, is a gift wrap station. So once I get a container for all of these like gift wraps and gift bags and ribbons and things. I think that is what I could potentially use this desk for. You know, the more I declutter, the more I realize that the stuff that is actually clutter, I do have space for it, but I just haven't made that conscious decision. A lot of this clutter is just decisions waiting to happen. They're decisions waiting to be made. It's something that I have left there because in the moment, it doesn't have a specific spot. Rather than, you know, taking a second to just assign it a spot or decide where it's going to go. But clearing this off, like doing little jobs like this, like little in the space sense, not little in the mental load sense, this has really helped me. I'm starting to get a much better grasp on you know, where things could go and how I could better utilize spaces. I'm getting there, slowly but surely. I am tackling all the spaces in my home, and that feels so good. So I am going to get off this floor and stretch for a bit. Remember that if you are a member of this channel, then I will be doing the giveaways. I will be going through all of that stuff and putting up bundles. So make sure that you are checking the community tab. And until next time, before I get a dead leg, gur have míle maith agaibh. Agus feici mé sibh sé go luath. Slán!